House Democrats recently released their 2019-21 operating budget proposal, which includes a spending increase of $8.5 billion and tax hikes of more than $4 billion over the next 4 years. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a little concerned about their proposal because over the last year, I've just talked to hundreds of voters in the 25th Legislative District that have made it very clear that they're not interested in additional tax increases, particularly property taxes and capital gains tax increases. The good news is that we have a proposal with the Republican caucus that allows us to fund our priorities without raising taxes. So we just received the most recent revenue forecast. We have an additional $2.8 billion in revenue. That, combined with some other ideas for fund balance transfers, can generate an additional $3 to $5 billion in revenue, and we're able to fund our priorities without passing those tax increases like a capital gains tax onto the voters of Washington. We are starting this biennium with a $2.8 billion budget surplus, which is the most favorable position that we've started in since the Great Recession. And that's good news. But at the same time, we have some concerns because when we look at personal income growth versus state spending, there's quite a difference. Personal income has grown by 40%. However, state spending has grown by 70%. And that gives me some reason to be concerned because we want to make sure that we are spending the voters' money wisely and that we are really prioritizing what is most important to be spending state resources on. So there are many economists that have predicted a recession in the next few years, and we just want to be aware of that when we are looking at the state budget and planning out future spending so that we don't put ourselves into a position where we create many new state liabilities and then don't have the revenue in order to pay for those things. And everybody at home understands this with their personal budgets. If you knew that your job was ending, you had a contract with an employer and that job was going to be going away, you would be very careful about making long-term financial commitments for your household, like upgrading to a larger home and a bigger mortgage payment or going out and buying a new car if you knew at the end of the year that you wouldn't have that income anymore. Or there might be a period where you had to make an adjustment and look for a new job. So same sort of principles apply to the state budget and how we're trying to look at that and be wise with our spending.
I also wanted to ask you about the House Transportation Budget Proposal for 2019 through 2021. You serve on the House Transportation Committee. What are your thoughts on the proposal, which doesn't include tax increases and only increases spending by about 6%?
A lot of work had gone into the transportation budget. As you know, there are 3 different budgets down here in Olympia: the transportation budget, the operating budget, and the capital budget. And I serve on the transportation committee, and it's interesting because, we deal with policy in that committee, but we deal with the financial side as well in creating a state budget for transportation. So in the new budget proposal, it's a very broadly supported and bipartisan budget, but there is some additional new funding in there for new technology for the State Patrol. They wanted some new technology with drones to help investigate fatal car accident scenes, and they're able to conclude their investigation sooner with the use of drone technology, clearing those scenes faster. So that's something that seems a little bit high level, but people can actually see a difference in the amount of time that a road is closed when we have a fatality on the road. Some other things that are in there for the State Patrol is adding a new training class. They've had a shortage over the last few years of attracting and retaining enough new officers. There's a large number of them that are reaching retirement age, so they need to get new officers trained up and ready to perform, and this budget allows them to add that additional class for training in there. In addition, there's about $183 million in the transportation budget to deal with fish culvert replacement. As you know, there's a lawsuit in which the state is responsible for addressing some of the fish culvert issues and unblocking some of those passages. So the problem is that many of the blockages along a river, some of it are state-owned, some are county and city-owned, some of those culverts are privately owned. So the state has been ordered to deal with their fish culverts, but we know that there are other culverts along those rivers that are blocking fish passages, and those need to be addressed as well. So there's some money in there to deal with some of the state culverts, but also to coordinate with the counties and cities on helping them address their culvert issues as well. Last thing in the budget that's really important is the Gateway project, which will help complete the Highway 167 I-5 completion and create 4 new lanes between 167 in Puyallup and I-5 in Fife, and open up that corridor to the traffic and getting access to the port that we need in order to be able to move goods and services along that corridor. It's a big project. It's been many years in the process, and right now we're looking at a bill to advance the completion of that by 3 or 4 years, which will have some additional savings down the road.